Hello, everybody. So you got that new DCS module, that new Apache. That's nice. It's pretty complicated. There's a lot to it. So let me help you get it up into the air as quick as possible. Okay, so when you launch DCS, it's pretty much going to look like this. It might look a little bit different because it will have different background wallpapers. You can select whatever background wallpaper you want depending on each module. Some of them are offered for free, like the unweaponized SU-25T and the unweaponized TF-51D. And this video is about a specific module, the Apache. So I'm going to go ahead and set that wallpaper just so that we're on the same page. So on the right side of the page here, I have Mission Editor and Campaign Builder. What I want to do is select Mission Editor. By doing my own mission, I can launch into an environment that I have 100% control over. Keep in mind, this is DCS, Digital Combat Simulations. If you put yourself as a member of the blue team in a red square, they're going to be after you. I don't want that kind of stress right now, and I don't think you do either. So let's go ahead and just create a new mission. Select whatever alliances you'd like here. It doesn't really matter, but for quick presets, I'm going to go ahead and select Modern. Choose whatever map type you want. I'm going to stick with Caucasus. Hit OK. Because my computer is super nice and fast, didn't take very long, and your computer is very slow, so it'll take you some time. This airport was Batumi, and I just zoomed in on it. On the left hand side, this is where you can add or modify assets. Because I'm just trying to mess around with helicopters right now, I'm going to select add or modify helicopter group, and then over on the right side I can change the name of the group that I want it to be. I could select the aircraft, and I know that I want this one right here. Yellow modules are owned modules. White modules are available, but you won't be able to fly them. So select any of the yellow modules that you see available. Select the client, and that will just mean that it can be flyable and it won't automatically populate with an AI pilot. Now if I click the parking space where I want it to be, I have this icon that's representing a rotary wing. Back on the right side, you see all these options have changed. Don't really worry about any of those for now, except for where it says type turning point. I don't want it to be turning. I don't want it to be flying. I want to take off from the ramp, not the runway, because it'll automatically put me on a runway. But I'm trying to start dark and cold, so I'm going to hit ramp. Back up to file, and then I'll call whatever I want this mission to be. For now, it's simple start, and I'm about to override it, so I'm going to get a message that you won't. I hit OK, file already exists. I hit yes, you probably won't see this. Boom, file. Now I'm going to press this green button over here that says fly mission. Again, this doesn't take very long for me, but it'll take a long time for you because slow computer, fast computer. Because we only have one aircraft, one role, I can only do one selection. So I'll select that. And then again, fast computer, slow computer. I'm going to boot in pretty quick here. You're going to boot in probably next Tuesday because your machine is so slow. And that's fine. I'm not judging you. I'm just glad you're here. Again, this was another one of those screens where if you typed in the information, it would show up here, but we didn't, so it's not. So I'll hit fly. First thing you'll note is if you can move your head around, track IR is working. If it's not, track IR is not set up, but you got a problem, you need to restart. DCS is unfortunately one of those things where you're going to have to restart entirely. So make sure that stuff is in place and working. Make sure that your controllers are on so that there's no switching of devices that has to happen. When the software launched, the computer needs to be in the configuration that you're planning on flying with for the best results. Like I said, we can move around. And all I'm trying to do is get this thing started. So this thing that's on my head right here is the IHADS reticle. And it gives me a heads up display wherever I move, and it also aligns the gun. I'm not really going to be messing with the gun right now. All I'm doing is getting it started, but I do want some information that's on there, just not right now. So I'm going to hit the keyboard key I, and it'll hide it. It takes a second for it to go away, but it will go away. The second thing I want to do is my flight control check. Make sure that my cyclic moves, my pedals move, I do have brakes, and my collective is functioning. Let's say this is your first time in here. I'm going to give you a little quick cockpit tour. Over here we have our lighting and power, a keyboard to enter in a lot of the other information that will need to be on these displays. Armament box, so when I want to make things able to fire, I'll manipulate these buttons. This little panel is basically associated with the IHADs. This panel and this panel are going to give you crucial information about the aircraft, so they work in conjunction together. This thing right here is for your flares and all your countermeasures, backup gauges, displays, comms. If we move to the front seat, it's essentially the exact same situation. You have your lights, you have your power information, you have your board, you have your crucial aircraft information on this display and this display. You have the two displays, but now we have this guy, and this guy is associated with this sensor that you see up on the front, so we'll get way into that later. We're cold and dark. All I want to do is get this thing started. Move the selector to battery, and I'm going to fire up my APU. And I look at this display, I'll see APU start. Now this is where things differ entirely. I don't claim that this is the right way to do this. All I know is that it works for me and it's relatively fast. So I know I'm going to be dealing with weapons. I know I'm going to be dealing with TSD. I'll fire those up. Engine 1, Engine 2. I'm going to wait for the sounds. Come over here to foresight, IHADs, down to my lights. Bring all my lights up. And I'm listening to that APU. It sounds like it's pretty much ready to go. Test my lights. Test my lights. Test my lights. Master warning, cautions out. IHADs is up. Press I to bring up IHADs. Align that and press that little right MFD button. Bring the throttle levers up to idle. Positive movement. Flip on countermeasures. Blades are spinning. Throttle up. Dismiss the warning. Turn off the APU. Close the guard. Shut the door. Configure weapons, which I'm not necessarily going to be able to do right now. I'll set video for TADs and TADs on that side, and I'll put the aircraft display on top of it. Dim the video portion of it a little bit, and dim the HUD portion a little. That's it. We're started up, ready to go. Like I said, the weapons page, I'll show you. I'll do a different video on how to set up the weapons page when I actually have weapons. But all I was trying to do is get started and moving. From this point, you can do whatever training maneuvers you got to do so you can learn how to fly this thing. There's no threats in here except for gravity and ignorance, so you can feel free to play around. I would take time, learn how to hover, mess with your controls, get comfortable. Make sure at bare minimum that you can taxi all the phases of taxiing. So that's pedal turns, left and right, forward and aft, and you want to be able to slide transition left, and slide right. Ooh, without hitting the blades, preferably. Like I said, it's hard. I need practice. I'm gonna practice. If you need me, I'm gonna be practicing. So that's how to quickly fire up an Apache. If this helped you at all, like and subscribe. I don't know, comment. Now, excuse me.